Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten all the way. If you keep on the sunny side of life.
Lord knows a way through the wilderness. All I have to do is follow. The Lord knows a way through the wilderness. All I have to do is follow. Strength for today and help all the way, and all that I need for tomorrow. Lord knows a way through the wilderness. All I have to do is follow. You know the old hymn, have you trials and temptations? Is there trouble anywhere? Never, never be discouraged. Take it to the Lord in prayer. You know, life has faith. When it comes to faith, there are tests. As a matter of fact, everything in life that matters has tests. Everything in life that is important has tests. You know, whether it's driving, you don't just turn a 15-year-old out on the road. They have to get ready for a test and then be tested to make sure they're safe. Or we know that this is true with doctors. You don't want your doctor to just call themselves doctor and have no real tested experience. You see, it's important. Our nurses, you know, there's so much technical stuff that nurses have to know now that way different than even the last few years, that they have to be tested. And some of you that are doing that, going through training or nursing school, you know how rigorous it is and how difficult it is. This is the nature of things. What about an airline pilot? You don't want somebody who's never really been tested flying that plane. There's a lot at stake. Electricians, even police. There's a tremendous amount of emphasis and questions about this, about what do we need to do, how do we address various areas. Every time there is a struggle or there is some kind of challenge, somewhere along the line people say, well, we need to figure out how to test for this so that we can make sure people are ready. And this is true. We do this because if you're not tested to make sure you have the skill and the knowledge for the important work, whatever it might be, you may hurt somebody. You may hurt yourself. You have to know where you stand. Well, you know, faith has to be tested too. And the reason is because faith matters so much. Faith affects everything in our lives and the way we look at life. And if you do not realize your strength or your lack of strength in terms of your faith, you will end up hurting people. This is why, you know, Paul warns against a novice, somebody who's a novice in the faith. They don't really realize that they're immature. As a matter of fact, the people who think they're the most mature are almost always the most immature. But if you're a novice and you don't realize you're a novice, you can do incredible damage to the lives of others and to the faith of others. In the fight for your faith, you are going to be tested. And if you fail the tests of faith in your life, you may miss your life's most important purpose if you fail faith's test. If you fail in one area, you may find yourself repeating that lesson over and over again. You may have to take that same kind of trial, or as we should say, you may have to go through that remedial course of faith over and over. And if you are one of those people, you may find yourself in the same circumstances, in the same kind of relationships, in the same kind of problems in church, maybe years apart, but you seem to find yourself back in those same places. It may be that you're not learning the lessons of faith that God's trying to give you. And you may find yourself going through the same kind of circumstances. Maybe you have different teachers or different geography. But it seems like it's the same kind of problem. And they're being used. God is working in your life to teach you the lessons that you fail to learn. You know, if you keep learning the same lessons over and over again and keep making the same mistakes, maybe you're missing something. I know that that's true in my life, and there's so many areas where I'm having to learn over and over again. And oftentimes in the fight for faith, we have to stop and say, what am I missing? If you just spend your time getting angry and frustrated and raging at it all, you may not fully understand yet what you're being trained for. And let me share this with you, remind you of this. It's so clear. Paul writes in Romans 8:28, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. Or as some translations say, for we know all things work together for good for those that love God and are called according to his purpose. But what is his purpose? You may be missing it. His purpose is not maybe some of the things that you're so focused on. Well, here's what everything that's going into your life is about. Here's what all the lessons are for in your life. Here's what is happening in your all around you, in your culture and in your society and in the politics and in the economics and in your financial life and your marital life and your relational life, in your everything in your life. Here's what it's all about. God works all things together for good. All things. For those that love him and are called according to his purpose. But what is the purpose? For those he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. You know what that means? You know what God's real plan for you is? You know what the real purpose of your faith is? All those tests, everything in your life, your whole purpose. Some of you have lived, 80 years. Some of you have lived 88 years. Some of you even longer. My friend Harold, he's lived into the 90s. The whole purpose of this, of your course of study in the area of faith, what God is training you for, is that you would be conformed to the image of his Son, that you'd be like Jesus. You'd love like Jesus. You'd be patient like Jesus. You would be kind like Jesus. You would be strong like Jesus. You would be courageous. You would offer grace. You would be forgiving like Jesus. You would learn. You would be humble like Jesus. You would be submissive like Jesus. Jesus said, learn of me, for I am humble. I am humble. I am gentle and humble of heart. I am submissive and humble. You would be like him. Everything he's doing is so that you could be that. This weekend's message that's coming up is about faith tests. This is just kind of the setup for it. And I want you to watch it. And I want you to invite others to watch it with you, especially those that have been trying to follow the faith, trying to walk in faith for a while. I want you to share this message with lots of people, because we're all right now in the middle of this this year, 2020, in the middle of the pandemic and all the things that are going on in our society, and with all the politics going on. We are in a big test right now. As a matter of fact, we are in the biggest faith test, I believe, of a generation, maybe a couple generations. And here's the thing. We'd better not flunk. So watch the message this weekend, because we want to pass.